Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel. This is Business Connections Live with Steve Hyland.
Connections Live, the programme for... I'll do that again, shall we? Hello and welcome to Business Connections Live, the programme for entrepreneurs, SMEs and business owners. Now, on today's show, we're going to be discussing how to launch a new business. It's one of those things that I suppose we all come across eventually. Maybe you've done it, maybe you've done it numerous times, or maybe you're thinking about doing it. Maybe you've just left an organisation, maybe you've left the company at the moment, you've got redundancy payout there and you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to be my own boss once and for all. How do you go about doing it? How do you go from just you through to being a successful business? We've got some experts with us today. My guests are Emma Turing and Eve Hutchinson from the Marketing Matrix. We're going to be talking about all things when it comes to starting up your business. Ladies, lovely to have you both here.
Hello.
Emma and Eve, tell us a little bit about the Marketing Matrix and how you two got together to actually form this. Well, Emma, I mean, how did it all start?
Okay, well, we were both freelancers working in the marketing sphere. We were good networkers, as most marketeers are, and we met through networking and discovered we'd got very complementary skills and talents, and if we got together we could start a business that would be greater than the two of us working alone.
So this is using networking for what it's meant to be used for.
Exactly.
And when you first met, I'm going to stick on the networking for a moment, did you realise there was a bit of a spark there, or did it take time to actually understand what each of you were doing?
I think it was pretty instant, really.
Yeah, over a kitchen table we started talking and very quickly had a business put together almost the same day. We both had leads that we thought we could kind of follow up on together and present a much more kind of whole business in that way, and it worked really well.
Now, what's important about this, though, is that both of you complement each other. It isn't a case of two people who have the same skills coming together to run a business. No. Both of you have very different skills that overlap when it comes to perhaps maybe strategy for a business.
Exactly.
So what would you say any of your skills are then? What's your key competencies?
Well, I came out of corporate as a marketing person and went straight into running my own marketing and web consultancy. So I learned web design, and
that's a tough industry, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So that's where my skill set was, mostly in the digital email marketing and web design space, whereas Emma was more on the PR and the writing and the content side of things.
And so writing, PR, well, your background was?
Exactly, ex-journalist, ex-corporate PR, and came out and set up my own business doing PR and marketing communications. So it was a very nice fit to then be able to work with Eve.
We're talking about startups today. I mean, do you think it's easier today, or do you think it's harder today for the entrepreneur out there to go out and go, right, I've got an idea and I'm going to start a business, I'm going to grow it and I'm going to be successful? Or do we see the same problems just time and time again? We haven't actually reinvented the wheel. The wheel is always going to be the same issues, same problems. Eve?
I think it's really easy to think that, yes, starting your own business now is much simpler, and in a lot of ways it is. We don't have to set up offices now and spend out lots of money on rent. You can run a business from your own home with a website and get going really quite quickly. The problem comes in that there are so many options and so many ways of marketing yourself now. It's very difficult to choose the best ones for you, and the traditional strategic basis of a business still holds true. So you can have as many technical options as you like, but you've still got to set up a business with a good, clear strategy in mind.
What about when it comes to the way that we project it, that our writing skills, is that a skill that's been lost, or do you think we're still very articulate when it comes to the way we write and describe?
I think it's coming back, is my feeling, actually, that being able to communicate really, really clearly and actually get your message across. You know, we were looking a few years ago, people were very into search engine optimization. All that mattered was getting your keywords into everything you said as many times as possible.
Just stuff them in there.
Awful to read, wasn't it? mean, it was
Yes.
painful. And luckily now, the way that, the sophistication, it means that people now have to be really clear about what they offer and really get that out there and think about who they're talking to as well as what they're actually providing.
When people come to you, and obviously it's a full service that you're offering here, everything from the written word through to the technology to support that. When they come to you, what do you think the big mistakes are? What are the things that startups, small businesses haven't really thought through when they approach you initially?
Clarity is always that word we come back to, and we sit down, we have a very structured brief we take from clients when we first start working with them. It goes right back to, what do you do, who do you do it for? It's a process that we've honed over a few years now. And the most common answer to that question is, we do anything for anybody. And it's like, well, you don't. And if you try to, your business isn't going to succeed. So what you need to do is actually pare that back and think, where is your good margin business? What do you love doing when you get up in the morning and you know that that's what you're going to do that day? You can get out of bed and you're really interested to go to work. And then when you come to send your bill out, you think, yeah, that's a good amount of money for that amount of work that I did, and I'm happy with that, as opposed to, oh my goodness, I had to slog away for every last penny of that. So that's that clarity. If you think about that before you start, that's the kind of business you can build.
Is it difficult to pull that entrepreneurial enthusiasm back a bit, do you think?
Most of the businesses we work with are very passionate. They're extremely good at what they do. We don't just work with startups. We work with established businesses that still perhaps don't have the clearest proposition that they should have. But they've got great testimonials. They've done some fantastic work for clients. So our job is to draw that all together and represent that in a really clear and easy to understand way.
It's easy. It's interesting you say that, because when I look back at some of the incarnations of this business, even doing what we do is very diverse. It's, you've got the program, we've got internal comms, we've got all of that going on in the background, and of course all the variants of that, be it audio, be it video, whatever you're doing. And sometimes you think, well, actually I can do all of this for my client. So it must be very difficult to convince some of your customers to say to them, look, actually just pick one thing and do it well.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean you can't sell those other products. By focusing on one thing and putting yourself out there as the expert in that particular thing in business television, it doesn't mean you don't do any of the other stuff. It just increases it. But people will start to come to you. You can start those conversations on your core skill and the thing you're really great at.
I suppose, I think we all have the fear, don't we, that if we don't say everything, it's like, I think the expression that was used, it's like throwing up over somebody, isn't it? It's like, here it all comes, you're going to get all of it whether you like it or not. Yeah. And, you just pick, if you excuse the expression now, you pick the bits out from that, really, isn't it? So, and there's always this fear that people have that if I don't tell you about everything that I do, then you're not going to do any business with me at all. And
that, for us, is the really interesting thing. That's one of the biggest reasons why not to do this. But actually, the more specific and clear you can be in a particular area of your business, you'll be surprised that because you get so well known for that actually lots of other business comes along with it too. So it has the opposite effect than you would expect intuitively from that.
All right then, well here's the acid test, and I didn't think I was going to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. So your business, the marketing matrix, from what we've talked about here at the moment, we have said PR, the written word, all the way through to websites. So how do you define then your business to customers?
It's quite interesting actually, because we've, from what we do, as you say, we can do the whole piece of marketing for somebody. We've recently started a program called the Startup Fast program, which is specifically for new businesses that are service-based professional consultancies. So part of joining up to that program means we'll take you from that very starting point of knowing your proposition all the way through to defining your ideal customer, understanding your processes are in place, and then setting up a website and a brand that's really going to work for your business and draw people to it. So that's how we've worked with that concept.
Do you think, do you think that's something that all businesses should do when they're maybe looking at the services they provide, a good vehicle for doing that is to have, yes, you've got your business website, but the specific services that you offer have their own separate identities, their own separate websites.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, can be very strong. Packaging is something we're very passionate about, especially if you sell a service that can be quite hard to describe and define and so on. So if you can package that, just as you go into a supermarket and you would buy, something in a packet, it's much easier to then buy it, that you can do the same principle with services. You can package them really clearly, and it makes it much easier for your customers to buy. Instead of thinking, I might be interested in that, they can see what it is, they know what it costs, they know what to expect, they can buy it, and that's what we're all in business for.
I really like all this. I mean, I think, that alone, even from the very beginning of the programme, if you're looking at maybe your website at the moment, we'll get into the kind of words that you use on your website. But if you're thinking about your website at the moment, you're thinking, actually, it's just a little confusing. Mm-hmm. People go to the site, they don't really know straight away what we're all about. And if you've got one of those websites that are saying, we've got 300 people working for us, 400-year-old buildings, and we're this, that, and the other, and you're not telling them about the widgets that you make, the whole reason they've gone there, then you really are missing a trick or two. So just for a moment, stop, think about your own website, think about the way that you are marketing your own business at the moment. And even from the conversation we had, do you know who you're marketing to? Who are your customers that are out there at the moment? Do you have a profile for them? If you were to be asked, could you describe to me your customer, would you be able to do that? Or are you quite, it's everybody. I sell to everybody. No, you don't. You go into a supermarket, you sell to a specific target market. You go into a butcher's, they're selling to another specific market. So there are different markets, different kinds of people out there that you're going to be targeting towards. We're going to talk a little bit more to Emma and Eve about what you should be thinking about, maybe the words you use, how to use press releases, things like that, how to use social media, maybe even also how to use your website as well to target those particular markets individually on this edition of Business Connections Live. It's all to come on the program today. Do stay with us. It's going to be a real cracker. So there we are. We're off and running. And interesting so far. We've got the Marketing Matrix website here. We're going to come back a little bit later on. Just give you a quick indication, quick look at it right now. There it is. Cracking website. What I like about you've got a colour picture there, but I do notice as well that there's a little bit of black and white that you use. Is that just positioning yourselves again? Is it the way you that kind of different look? You see it, and you think, oh, that's just slightly different. Was that a deliberate thing, or was it just the pictures you had to hand?
Both. I mean, the point of all of this is we can talk a lot about marketing. You can read lots of books, you can do lots of courses, but at the end of the day, you've got to take action. And that third slide is the bright, right, let's do this. And it's pretty hard to do that on your own sometimes without a team with you, supporting you and taking you through a process.
All right,
and that's where we fit in.
Well, we'll talk more about websites and what you should be doing and why you should be working with the team in just a few moments' time. Now, last week's program was a real cracker. We were talking about the world of networking, word of mouth marketing, how you should go out there and how you should do the right thing when you're out. Who should you be talking to? These two lovely young ladies, they met at marketing events, realised that they had something in common and ended up working together. So are you getting the most out of marketing? Last week's show we were talking to Paul Bridgend. He came into the programme and we were talking about word of mouth marketing and networking in general. Just to give you a bit of a reminder, here's what happened on last week's edition of Business Connections Live. Let me ask you the question, how do you grow your customer base? How do you grow your customers? How do you get more of them through the door? How do you increase sales by getting more customers? Is it all down the networking? My guest on today's show is Paul Bridgend. He is from Connect Surrey.
Yeah, I think the majority of business people, I don't know, they just seem to have the wrong idea. They don't really have a clear grasp of what goes on and why it works and the sort of attitude that they should have towards it. So you're not selling to the room, you're selling yourself, or if you like, you're presenting yourself. You're trying to make business connections, and through those you get business. Because it's not about selling to those people in the room necessarily, as long as they're decent people who have contacts, friends, colleagues, cousins, whatever, that they can recommend you to, then that's the most important thing. Each networking group is different. I mean, overall, I think all networking groups work, but of course there will be some groups where they do tend to kind of, the same little group of people tend to meet every week or every 2 weeks, and maybe they don't get a lot done, but that's their decision. But I think you can choose the right group, based on how often they meet, where they meet, the kind of the time of the day, that all of those things have an impact. We run lunchtime groups where it tends to attract a slightly different, people, if you like, more sort of married people who haven't got the time to get out in the morning, whereas our breakfast groups will attract different people, and we have evening groups as well. What I always say to people, which is a fairly obvious one, is at those events, if you go to those networking events, don't get stuck with someone that you already know, or stick yourself with someone you already know, because you can talk to them afterwards or tomorrow or next week or whatever. You're there to meet new people. So I do say to people, walk up with hand outstretched, interrupt people, not a problem, it's a networking meeting. At each meeting we give people a clear idea of what the 60-second pitch should be, and it's very simple and very obvious really. Name of the business, what the business does, what makes them, and this is the key one, what makes them special, what makes them different to other businesses, and also what kind of referrals are they looking for, who would they like to be introduced to, bearing in mind that they're not necessarily wanting to do business with anyone in the room, or are not necessarily going to do business with anyone in the room, but who would they like to do business with? And it's a very soft way of selling, and then they finish off with their name and the business. That's very important, because in 60 seconds, believe it or not, people might be interested, but they'll have totally forgotten what you're called and what your business is, and a strapline if they have it. Well, I think with networking slightly different, because unlike LinkedIn or social media as such, you are actually meeting everyone face to face. So as far as I'm concerned, it's fair game. If you attend a meeting and you hand out your card, then you're going to be contacted by someone. There are people who come to some of my groups, and obviously no one who's listening to this would be amongst those, but I have heard them say at the end of their 60 seconds, and I'd like to catch everyone here in the meeting today afterwards for a quick chat. Wrong approach. If you give people something specific to zero in on, they find it a lot easier to think of a situation where they could possibly refer you into that. How can anyone be too busy with customers? There's a formula that says that 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers, which would suggest, and I believe it's quite a realistic formula, that a large majority of your customers, even though they are customers, they may be bad payers, they may be awkward, they may have unreasonable expectations. So there's always room for new customers. Okay, my name's Paul Bridgeland. I run Connect Surrey. We're an organisation dedicated to helping local businesses connect with each other. Most of our activity revolves around networking. We also run Guildford's only Business Expo, which is in about 2 months' time. I suppose my key message is that if you attend regular networking meetings, you're putting yourself out there. There's no point sitting at home behind a desk and trying to run your business from there. You need to get out there, mix with people, build relationships, and that's how the business comes in. And of course we passionately believe that networking is the best, the most cost-effective and the easiest way to do this.
Paul Bridgeland there, fantastic show. If you get an opportunity, do watch it. It was just a great hour, so much great information. Very similar to today's programme. If you're a brand new viewer to us today, thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching this programme, or you're in the Cambridge area and you're thinking, wouldn't it be great to be able to watch this on my TV? Well then, of course you can. You can watch it on Cambridge TV, both on Virgin and also on digital TV. I think it's on Virgin, it's also on cable as well, and DAB, whatever. It's all there. You watch it and thoroughly enjoy it. You're watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Emma Turing and Aneve Hutchinson from the Marketing Matrix. We're talking about how startups and business owners just really start thinking about how they should go about promoting their business and growing their business. We always ask people about the key things that are really important, so I'll put the glass on so I can see. While Paul was on, we were having a bit of a chat. Propositions, and why does it matter? I mean, the proposition that a business has. I suppose a lot of us sometimes come up with a product and an idea initially, don't we? But we don't really think about what the clear proposition is to our customer. How do we approach that, Emma?
It's really standing in your your customer's shoes. So knowing who your prospective customer is, and then stand where they stand, think what's their pain, what keeps them awake at night, what can't they do that your business can help them with. So instead of going, I can do X, Y, Z, and doing it all from your side, is actually thinking about the why will someone want to come and buy from you, and turning that round and standing outside your business, if you like, and thinking why would that attract them? What would attract a customer to you?
When you say that to people, because we've all got a tendency, it's all about me, isn't it? I can do this, I can do that, we're great, we're wonderful, blah, 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 blah. Is it just something that's intrinsic in us that we find very difficult to reverse that and do it from the customer's perspective? Is it? Do you see that?
I think it's human nature, isn't it? You see the world from your perspective, and you know when you're saying a particular set of words, you know what you mean, but are you actually testing that and making sure that those people you're speaking to, that they know what you mean and they do really understand what it is that you're trying to offer?
So the pair of you, do you have an idea in your mind's eye when you talk to a client, you say, okay, let's look at the proposition of your business. What do you say to them? How should you approach it?
We go through a very detailed questionnaire, and that's the only way we can make sure we capture every single piece of information that we need in order to help develop their proposition for them. Because as you say, it's very difficult sometimes to see the wood for the trees, because you can do so many things for so many different people, but if you can select a certain kind of person, we call it a customer persona or a buyer persona, and really understand that person in sometimes some really great detail, so much as to know their age, their background, as Emma says, what keeps them awake at night, then out of that you can make sure that the proposition you're presenting really suits them. And
does it have to be that detailed to get it right, do you think?
Yeah, I do. We're very passionate about that, because we've talked about how easy it is to chuck up a website, to start tweeting, to get stuff on social media. You can do it, you could do it in 5 minutes, but if you're not actually being focused in doing that, then all that is noise, or your nice analogy about throwing up on someone, you're just doing it electronically instead of verbally perhaps, and it's not, that's hardly going to draw them to you, is it?
I bet you use that in the future.
I may try not to, Steve, if you don't mind.
Now, when we talk about the detail of this, are we really talking about the target age, how they're employed, what the target person, nearly down to the car they drive, the hobbies they have?
We do take it to quite a crazy level sometimes, but when we're doing it also because we need to understand that client's tone of voice and how to express things for them. So it's really important that we understand that as well. And once we took it to the point we didn't realise that one of their major clients are astrophysicists. So once you understand that, you can write at the level and in the style that you need to write to appeal to that.
That's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, we go around saying, oh, it's not rocket science. Well, it
actually
actually was. These guys are rocket scientists, so therefore, writing for the same way as you would for someone who, sells flowers is not quite going to work the same way, perhaps.
I want to know that.
So then, in that case, so you sit back for a moment. You've written your proposition, and you've identified who your target audience is. Do you then segment it any further? Is there someone that's going to be ideal in your target audience that you should be targeting at? Does it go down that far, or once you've got to a certain level, you think, right, okay, let's get the idea and the proposition out there? Is that what you do?
Yeah, but one of the other most important foundational pieces that we like to make sure we've clarified as well is the sales process that's involved, because sometimes that isn't completely as well thought through as it could be. So we'll also map that out to make sure that from the very first time that you come across somebody all the way through to hopefully working with them, there's a very nice smooth sales process in there as well.
Right, we're still inward looking at the moment, so here we are with three of us, we're starting a brand new business, and we've looked and we've got, right, we know who our target audience is, we know what our product is, we know who our target audience is, we know who our ideal client is, but we're still at that, and we've got a great sales funnel, but we're still a well-kept secret. Communicating, that must be one of the biggest errors that many businesses do. They then sit and wait. How do you get around that? everybody, we've had social media experts coming in, oh, just a bit of Twitter, a bit of Facebook, a bit of LinkedIn, and you're off and running.
People, unfortunately, will sell you very expensive services that may perhaps not achieve what you're trying to achieve. So that's why we come back to strategy every time. So if your strategy is that you need to saturate a particular market, then, you know, quite possible that social media will be a very good channel for you to use. But the whole point is, what is the strategy, not what's the channel. That's important because it's the way you get out there, but it's the what you're saying and what your brand is and what your brand stands for. So it's the personality of your business, especially if you're a very small business. It's getting your personality as the business provider sort of imbued into that business.
Do you think business owners cherry pick a little bit? They'll look at what's available there and they'll cherry pick the easier bits to do. So it is quite easy, as you said, to set up a Twitter account, get millions of followers, and you think, right, that's kind of a bit of a tick there. In fact, social media across the board is relatively easy to do that with, isn't it? To kind of cherry pick the relatively easy bits, whether it's effective or not. But when it comes to doing press releases and press and the written word and getting that out there, there's a lot of errs going on, aren't there?
Well, and as you say, social media is easy. It's not easy for everybody, actually, and cherry picking is exactly what you should do. And once you know your ideal client, you'll know exactly which channels are going to suit them, because you'll know where they hang out. But actually, it's understanding, where is all this social media going? Where's all the communication going? What's your most wanted response from all of this? And that's where your website comes into play. Because if you can drive all those visits and all that interest to one place, which is your hub, which is your website, and then have something on that website where you can capture somebody's information, then you can understand what all that social media is for and what it's achieving for you.
And a lot of people, we've forgotten to do that at times. A lot of people forget to do that, that there is no mechanism to capture names.
Otherwise it's just noise, you know, that's the problem. It's great if you're getting all those followers and so on, but if it's not actually, you're not getting, as Neve said, the most desired response that you want, you're not getting them to get in touch and to find out more and to start, you know, the pre-sales element.
Let's set some benchmarks at this point so that we've got a kind of a feel for it all. When we're using social media, I suppose everybody that follows us, we think is a potential customer or a prospect or whatever, but the return rate across the board for any of the different forms of marketing your proposition out to potential clients is quite small, isn't it?
From a social media point of view, it's difficult to, as you say, work out which of those followers are the ones that are important to you, which is why we like to drive all those visits to a website where you can have something for somebody to be able to download. So when there's something really useful, helpful, you know, really good advice on your website that somebody's really going to want to use, and in exchange for that piece of information they give you their email address, then you can continue that conversation. And when you use email marketing, then you really do have some good metrics to look at and be able to measure your ROI. And even though a lot of people, you know, have questioned email, it's still known as one of the best ways to market your business with the best return on investment, because it is so cost effective. And you can monitor your open rates and understand if those messages are actually hitting home and having an impact on your bottom line.
Are you advocates of CRM systems, customer relationship management and things like that?
If it's appropriate for the business, you know, it is.
See, that's what I like about the way you're talking. If it's appropriate.
It's not for everybody.
No, and we've had clients who've bought CRM systems before we've come along, and they were quite expensive and people have poured hours into them, and then that person's left or someone's got a different priority and they kind of are set in aspic. So, you know, unless it's living and breathing and you're actually using it, then it's
but
really
it's
not
interesting, isn't
solve
it, the
the
market
problem on its
areas,
own.
isn't it? Like internet marketeers tend to use quite a lot of CRM systems. Infusionsoft, quite expensive,
and very
very powerful, but its nickname, of course, Confusionsoft, because it's so...
And it is.
There's a lot of functionality there,
There are a lot of simpler ways of doing it, and we tend to work with more service-based, traditional businesses in Surrey and London, and these are businesses with actual products, actual services that they need to, you know, express to people in a very simple way, because time, human resources, everything else comes into play here, so we like to keep it simple as possible to make sure it actually happens.
Now, the information, you're saying that you're using a bit of a tease, you're throwing the hook out and you're reeling them in with this free information. A lot of companies do feel a little bit hesitant at giving that kind of content away to people that just go into the website. They feel that perhaps maybe what they're doing is they're giving their secrets away to the competitors. Do you think that's a valid criticism or a valid thing that they should be aware and worried about?
No, I mean, the whole point of all of this that we're talking about is to help people get to know, like and trust you. And how can you do that unless you give away a lot of stuff? And your tone of voice, your way of doing things is always going to be different from somebody else's. So no, we say give it as much as you can away.
And what about Emma? I mean, what kind of stuff do you write? Because I know that you are the wordsmith here.
Yes, absolutely.
What kind of stuff would you give away?
So,
what's the ideal kind of
articles, advice, the sort of information that people are looking at, nice digests of bits of research that are going on in your industry that you can sort of add your own opinion to, and you can go, isn't it very interesting that in our industry there's been something that shows that something has risen by 70%. I wonder why this is. Is it because our industry is doing this? So you're adding your perception onto that as well, or your perspective onto it.
Are we going back to the whole area then of what people say in social media, that the fact that all of this is a conversation between you and your prospect or your client? Just keep talking.
Yeah, it should always be about engagement. It's never about, pushing it out there. Look, I'm going to show you what I can do, aren't I marvellous? That's not it. It's like, I know, because I understand my customer base, I know what your problems are. Here's a nice little digest. Maybe your accountant sent you something, the budget happened and this is what you need to know from the budget. And one piece of paper, you don't want pages and pages, you don't want to know everything, but you do want to know what's relevant for you, and you don't want to spend hours trawling for it. So wasn't that helpful that popped into your inbox and you'd got it ready-made? So you could say that he or she has given away some information perhaps, but actually it's made you more likely to engage with them.
All right. We've got more from our guests in just a few moments' time. Emma Tarring and Anive Hutchison from the Marketing Matrix on this edition of Business Connections Live. Well, a cracking show as always, and I'll tell you what, already so far today there's been a real insight into the different areas that you should be considering. That the first half hour alone has just been cram-packed. Where should we go to now? Who should we hear from now? I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's go back to a programme that we had quite some time ago. A young lady came on the air with us, and absolutely really interesting topic. We were looking at what you should do when it comes to starting your own business, how you grow your own business and how you make it all successful as well. Kate Lester was, I guess, she was the female entrepreneur. I hate that when they do that. No, female, male entrepreneur. That's not right, is it? That's just... But she was the Female Entrepreneur of the Year. A really interesting talk. She's grown a business from, a very small turnover to a franchise model now. I think, if my memory serves me right, it's turning over £400,000, something like that, or 4 million. Something like that. It's huge, 4 million turnover. Huge business. And she gave some great advice for startup companies. Have a look at this.
Hi, my name is Kate Lester and I'm the proud founder and CEO of Diamond Logistics. We're the UK's fastest growing courier company, and we enable businesses to deliver, whether it's parcels, their promises, or indeed their profits too. Now, as my takeaway for you guys as entrepreneurs, there's 3 key messages I really hope you take from today. Number 1 is, if you want a super successful business, then please make sure that your product and serviceable is saleable. And please make sure that you are the person that takes control of that sales pipeline, because nobody will care about it as passionately as you do. The other thing is that if you're looking at scaling your business, then you have to make sure that your mission, belief, and indeed your ethics are at the heart of what you're trying to do, because when you're trying to replicate your service, you want to make sure that all the stakeholders believe in that as passionately as you do. And number 3, think of your role as chief talent spotter, because if you pick the dream team that I've been lucky enough to recruit at Diamond, then I hope your business will fly just like ours is. Thanks very much.
And thank you very much to you as well. That was Kate Lester there. And Diamond Logistics is the name of her organisation. A really interesting program. If you get a chance, some great advice from Kate on that particular show. If you want to find out more about any of the programmes, you can go along to our website at businessconnectionslive.com. If you want to get in touch with us, incidentally, that's easy to do as well. You can drop us an email to studio@businessconnectionslive.com. And if you don't like sending emails, but you'd rather talk to somebody, you can either talk to myself or to Linda Bazant. We're always willing to take your calls. The telephone number is 01784 256 777. And if you want to follow our stream even of consciousness, then you can follow us on Twitter at BCL Business TV. All the details for you there on the screen right now. You're watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Emma Tarring and Eve Hutchinson from the Marketing Matrix. We're looking at all things when it comes to startup and launching a brand new product or service to a potential customer. They've got a fantastic website. We'll just have a quick gander at that. It's called startupfast.co.uk. Gives you all sorts of great information on there as well. Things that you should be thinking about, your launch strategy, your branding, your website, your marketing plan. Tells you a little bit about them as well, and also gives you information that you can download, case studies. And I think case studies are always good. Why reinvent the wheel? If somebody else has done it, then why don't you go back and have a look at how they did it? I think it was Anthony Robbins once said that why keep reinventing the wheel? If someone's got a procedure that actually is successful, then look at what they did and maybe emulate what they did to maybe shortcut some of the processes. Great site. If you want more details on that, is the booklet available, or will the booklet be available for download on the site as well?
Yeah, download it. Yeah.
There is a cracking booklet available. It will be on the site. We'll give all these details in the show notes. The Startup Fast Pre-Launch Brief. Create your consultancy business in 5 easy steps and get your branding, website and marketing plan right first time. You remember your marketing plan, don't you? By Eve and by Emma there. Startup Fast. We'll give all the details of the appropriate website and everything like that in the show notes that come with this particular program. So let's move on. You've got a lovely graphic there. How to launch your business. Is it worth talking a little bit about that? We've got now. This is called the rocket graphic that we've got here. Let's just bring it up on the screen and let's talk us through what we've got here. How to launch your new consultancy business fast. It's over to you, Emma. Tell us more about the rocket.
Okay. Well, this is we love condensing information, lots of complicated information into a very simple form, and we thought, well, we're talking about launching, let's look at a rocket. So what we've done is looked at, if you were launching something into space, what would be all the things you would need, and we've done the analogy of what you do if you were launching your business. So starting at the bottom, what you need to have in place is making sure we've talked about clarity of proposition, knowing what you do and who you do it for, the people, who are you trying to sell to, why would they want to buy from you.
So this is the exhaust thrusters coming out of the bottom of the...
This is what gets you away from the earth
and ground.
So, right, so this is the beginning. So once you've got the clarity, the proposition, people, brand, and you've got your process. This is really what we've been talking about up until now, really, isn't it? So we've been talking. So get those. They seem to be the key fundamentals. They are I suppose, the driving force of what we're talking about here.
It's the energy that helps you actually get out there, and we all know how hard it is to get a rocket off the ground. It needs some serious energy behind it, and without these foundational boosters, as we call them, that's going to be harder to achieve.
I like what you're doing there, the boosters.
Yeah.
Okay. Are the next sections, the stages, I like this is all working very well, the stages of the rocket, are they in any particular order to coin a well-known TV program? Because the first thing we're looking at there is we've got the website at the bottom.
Yeah.
Why is that so key then to all of this?
Well, this is the engine room of your whole business. We like to call it the hub of your business. So many businesses don't even need an office anymore. It can literally live out of a website. But this is where we want to be driving all your traffic, all your visitors into one place where we can then work with them in a really clear way. Once you've got that website set up beautifully, it's reflecting your brand really nicely, then we need some rocket fuel to get it out there, as you're saying, to communicate it out to your audience.
You've thought this through, haven't you? You've thought, yes.
Tim Peake went up and I was watching. Yeah, absolutely. It works really well, and that's why rockets are used so often when you're talking about startup business. But what is that rocket fuel? Well, that's the advertising that you do, the social media conversations that you have, referrals and networking, of course, being some of the most powerful ways to get your name out there.
What about the tone of voice, Emma? Do you think you should very quickly assume what the voice of your business is going to be, the way you're going to write, the words you use, the way you project your business, so it's always consistent?
Absolutely. It's so much part of your brand. Everyone thinks about the brand is the little logo in the corner of your business card or something. Actually, once you've got yourself established or you're starting to get established, you should be able to cover that up and people will still know it's you, because that tone of voice is so distinctive about the way you say things and the way you help your customers solve their problems that you would almost not need the logo. Of course we do need a logo, but you know, it needs to always be very, very similar. And again, thinking about who you're writing for. So if it's your rocket scientist, it's going to be a little different to, you know, if you're selling to someone who does something much.
But of course, Google's also looking at the way you write these days, in the words you use, in the text that you have on the website.
Yeah.
And I think even you will see high-ranking pages that don't specifically say in their title what the page is about. They'll have a nice headline, of course, but it's the text that Google has looked at, and Google has made the assumption that that's what the page is about by the actual words you have used. So that must be quite important. Do you see businesses sometimes get that hopelessly wrong?
Well, Google's got very much more clever now, and it doesn't just even work around certain words or phrases, but it's also looking at topical subjects as well, and it can work out an awful lot from a page as to whether it's relevant or not. But most importantly of all, Google wants to see that what you're providing is useful, helpful information, that it's not salesy. They want you to provide solutions to problems.
Gosh, right, okay, so social media, same applies. You've only got 140 characters in social media, but you've still got to keep the same voice.
Yeah. And that's why your proposition needs to be so clear, because you know, you literally need to be, not in the same words, but you need to be able to tweet that or to get that out there. So that's why boiling really complicated ideas down to very, very, very simple. And that takes longer than writing loads of stuff, actually.
Well, what's the old thing about, isn't it 90% of the time it's taken right in the headline, isn't it? And I suppose that's what you're doing.
Should be. Good emailer easily 90% of the time. That's the one that matters.
All right, so we've had our website, we've now got our social media and our marketing. Let's look at the rocket again and see where we're going now. So the next bit is, looks like from here, blogs.
It's our
and communication. Yes. So the communication centre, we've got the rocket fuel, the communication centre. Blogs, I think a lot of businesses, see, I'm never quite certain what we're doing with our business, whether these programs are blogs effectively. So why are blogs so important for businesses today? Because that's the kind of thing that I would imagine a lot of businesses will think, no, that's not for us.
It is tricky sometimes for more traditional businesses to understand how important this stuff is, but what we very much concentrate on is what's called inbound marketing. So it's a way of attracting
Now, define
businesses.
this for me. Tell me what this means.
So rather than being, advertising and being out there and pushing yourselves into people's, lives, instead you're attracting them to your business with this really useful, helpful content. So that when somebody's on Google and wants to know, how do I blog? How do I get more clients? That kind of question is being asked for our business, for example. We want our content and our way of doing things to be up there. So for Google to feel that what we've written is relevant and worth showing people.
And that's down to, but also you've got to make it interesting as well. And I think a lot of people are terrified.
And there's, we've all read blogs. It's like, last Tuesday I went to the airport. It's like, that's not solving a customer's problem at all. That's a kind of, that's your diary. Put that in your journal. That's fine, but don't publish that on your business website. It's thinking about, it is that thing of offering advice. It's that little bit of giving it away, showing a glimpse of ankle, we like to say, when you're showing what you can offer. And then they come to you for a little more, perhaps.
So it's a bit of a tease then. A lot of people worry about the commitment to doing regular blogs. First of all, how often should you be blogging?
It's hard to do. So lots of factors come into this. How often do your clients and your prospects want you to? So it's finding that balance of not doing too much, but not too little either. So it's somewhere between once a week. It's kind of an ideal. But the way you know that you're doing it at the right level is that there's value in everything that you blog or tweet or that you email to people, so that there's a reason for it to be in that person's inbox.
And the amount, the length.
Yeah.
Because it's don't worry about the feel the quality.
Yeah.
It's not it's not about the length, feel the quality. So is length important when it comes to the amount of words you write? Can you get away with a blog that is no more, if it is the key information that you want to get over?
Exactly.
And
it can be quite pithy, and again beautifully written, so that it's got some substance. It can be quite short, because then it's very shareable, which is the other thing about anything that your content that you're putting out there. You want people to share it so that it goes more widely than the people you know. It's going out to that next range of people who don't yet know you, but that might be how they get to know you.
See, what's wonderful about it, of course, is that you've been a wordsmith. You probably have absolute joy when you're writing something.
Yes.
No?
I do.
You
yes.
do, don't
Yeah,
you?
no, I'm
And that's
tragic.
what it is, the way you construct a sentence, the way things are said and the way things are put together. I really do envy you on that, actually, because I think a lot of people could do with that. Okay, let's go back to the rocket again. We're doing very well. We've looked at the blogging and social media now. Now, this is the one that a lot of people will forget about. This is control and measurement, how we monitor what we're doing. We've attracted our customers to us, this inbound marketing. So how do we control? Control is an interesting word, control and measurement.
Yeah.
Why control and measurement?
Well, as you say, most people just want to kind of leave this bit to one side. You have to be a nerd or a geek to want to get into it. But actually, once you start looking at your analytics, whether it be from your website or from the different platforms that you're using, it gives you huge insight into whether what you're doing is working or not. So we like to see that if we've managed to get somebody to a website, are they staying there or are they bouncing straight out and going on to the next one? Are they visiting lots of pages on your website? How much time are they spending? Where are they ending up? And it's all really vital information to help you know how to improve things as you go forward.
I would imagine there's some sorry, sad surprises that people come across when they do look at those analytics. Do you think we all look at our analytics enough? I'm sure you do, but I can't imagine most companies doing that.
No, and generally not in our experience, but that's, we like doing it. We like looking at it and seeing what's working.
Yeah, you need to get out more. All right, then, just very briefly then, let's just look back at what we're going to be talking about in just a few moments. So far we've looked at the engine, the rocket fuel, the communication centre, that's important, the control and the measurement. In just a few moments' time, we're going to look at the re-entry capsule. Now, what a great connecting, and then the payload, the actual serve, product and packages. That's still to come. You'll be able to you'll be able to see this on. Will you be able to download this particular chart?
This will be on your site.
Yeah, so you'll be able to download this chart if you want to as well, simply by going to Business Connections Live to our website and onto the appropriate page for this as well. My guest on today's show is Emma Tarring and Eve Hutchinson from the Marketing Matrix. You're watching Business Connections Live. It's great to have your company as always. We're live every Monday at 12 noon. If you are a brand new visitor to the site, if you're watching the program for the first time, it's great to have you with us. My name's Steve Hyland, and we've got some great guests. We have different guests each and every week, and we look at all different aspects of business. If you'd like to come on the program, please do get in touch with us here at Business Connections Live. We'd love to hear from you, and maybe you could sit in here and be grilled by me. It's not that difficult, really. I'm quite a nice chap. At least I like to think I am. Thank you very much indeed. There was ringing in my ear now. It's not very nice. If you, though, think that you don't have the necessary skills when it comes to communicating to the media, and it is a skill that a lot of people need to have these days, particularly when it comes to crisis management. Perhaps you're in a high-level position and something happens. What do you do when that radio reporter stands in front of you with a microphone and asks you the question that you just don't want to be asked? What do you do when you're sitting in a TV interview that you think you're going to be asked questions about one thing, and all of a sudden the interviewer asks you about something completely different that maybe you don't have the knowledge on, or you might find that you're thinking to yourself that you want to put maybe company policy, you want to make it up on the spot. How do you control those situations? Well, we run a course here at Business Connections Live. We call it How to Handle the Media, and James Griffin from Iris Software, him and his team, they were on the programme, or actually on the course a couple of months back, and here's what James said about coming on our How to Handle the Media course.
I'm James Griffin from Iris Software, and my team have just completed the How to Handle the Media workshop. It was a really great course, it was really fun, and it was a really unique way for them to polish their presentation skills and learn how to answer difficult questions under pressure. So I'd highly recommend this to anybody that values those skills and really wants a great day out with their team.
It's a one-day course. If you want to come on the course, we'd love to hear from you. Once again, here are all the details that you need. Email us at studio@businessconnectionslive.com, or you can telephone us on 01784 256 777, or if you want, you can send us a DM or just get our stream of consciousness. See, I've been able to say it this time at BCL Business TV. Now, we do a number of different courses like that. It's completely tailored to your particular organisation. If you want more details, as I said, do talk to either myself or to Linda Besant. Also, if you have a need for executive training, and we're talking about chairman, CEO, the business types, if you have a real need for that, then what we also do is that we have national news reporters and anchors who will come in to our studios here, and they will do the grilling. We really will take them to pieces. We'll put them under a lot of pressure. If you'd like more details on that, please do get in contact with us here at Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Emma Turing and Anive Hutchison from the Marketing Matrix. We're talking about how to start up your business, how to launch a new business, maybe how to launch a new service, how to launch a new proposition to your customers out there. These two ladies, absolute experts in what they've done while they are from the Marketing Matrix, and you can go to their website and find out more about the Marketing Matrix. We'll have a look at their site. Here is their course site. One of the lessons and one of the things that they have said to us today is that if you do have a product that can be differentiated from your main brand that you feel would work better, maybe working separately so that you're clearer with your message, then just stay on the website for a moment. So that's the Marketing Matrix. But for businesses, they've got this other website which is dedicated to start-up businesses called Startup Fast. And you can go on there, start building your consultancy business today. It just goes through everything that you need to know. Two great websites to go to find out a little bit more. Now, we've been looking at our rocket of success that will take us to the stars and beyond. We started off at the engines, the propulsion. Let's go back to our image again. And we've got right up to the re-entry capsule, the connect part, and then the payload, the product and the packages, which is to serve. Let's look at the re-entry capsule, the connect. What do you mean by that, Emma?
So we talk about something that's really going to make your customers or prospective customers engage with you. So they've gone to your website, they're a bit interested, but they're not quite ready, they're not biting yet. So what's actually going to make them properly take that step to the first level of engagement with you? So threats work, yes, but we prefer a slightly subtler approach. So we say, that's why we say give something away. Give them something that will make them think, wow, I can't believe that business gave me a piece of information, a piece of advice, a checklist, something that was really useful to me and I could use in my business, and so I'm feeling very positive and warm about them. And when I've used that, I'm more likely to get in touch with them and actually take that to the next level, because I know what they are. I like the way that they present it. I like the fact that they're willing to give me some of this help for free, and I've started that journey of feeling that I can trust them and I can work with them. And obviously when you're selling services, that's so important that you get that relationship and that feeling before you actually, press the button to pay the money.
When you do something like that and you give that piece of information away, at what point do you become proactive in it? Is there a point where you see somebody has downloaded this that you then actually do the picking of the phone up and going, hello? Because I think a lot of business owners are terrified of that bit, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what it's all about, is making those personal connections. And that's when you move from marketing into sales. When you've
taken the horse to water.
Yes, you've talked to a lot of people and you've taken it down to now having some, what we would then call a warm lead, and somebody that's worth speaking to in a more personal sales manner, perhaps with a phone call, or if not, then continuing your emails in a gentle, regular way until they're ready to pick up the phone and speak to you.
They've given you their email address willingly because they've got something for that. But we do say don't be too obvious about it. So 10 minutes after they've downloaded it, don't ring them up and say, I see you've downloaded it, because that's a little bit Big Brotherish and freaky. So a bit of subtlety.
Hang on, let me write that down, because I think I've done that.
Well, we've all received those calls and it makes you think, whoa, somebody's watching me.
I've noticed that you've just opened my email again.
Yes.
Can I help you?
So a little subtler perhaps, just but obviously knowing what it is that's interested them, so you're starting that conversation on the basis of, I believe you're interested in this type of service.
This whole area of being subtle, where do you know to draw the line? Because it is very difficult. All the tools are there. We're all keen to do business with anybody or everybody. We're all keen to we feel that we've got the right product for an organisation. We feel it's going to help them, it's going to enhance them. So we are enthusiastic to get that information to them. How do you just hold yourself back, and how do you know that it is the right time? Because there are so many areas, aren't there? If you're using autoresponders, how often do you send an email? How often do you keep in contact with somebody? Do you make it as easy as you possibly can?
The marketing planning process is very iterative, actually, because you should constantly be, people talk about planning, so they're like, we start in January and we know what we're doing till December. And actually, with each campaign, each round of emails, whatever it is that you're doing, you should always be measuring. We've talked about that yellow stripe on our rocket, looking at your analytics and so on, and perhaps just refining and perhaps slightly changing that plan and slightly adapting that, because you're learning the whole time. It's never going to just be set in stone. We go from here and we end up there, because we've got all this wonderful intelligence that shows us, and we, even on things like emailers, we might experiment with 2 slightly different subject lines. And one might hit, suddenly 20% more people open that than the one with another subject line. So the next time that you're learning the whole time.
So do you think A/B testing, as we're talking about there, is that quite an important part of the whole process, do you think?
I think it depends on how many people you've got on your list. Sometimes it's not realistic to be able to do that. But as Emma says, testing different time of day, different day of the week to send something, different subject lines. It's all be on top of that and keep looking.
Very interesting. I mean, nearly a conversation in its own right, that bit there. Let's go back to our illustration, which you can download, incidentally, the rocket. Looking a lot there, the payload, product and packages to serve. Tell us, what should we be thinking about that? Is it the way we present it, how we package it, how we deliver it? What's our considerations, do you think?
This is the point of our business, isn't it? To actually be able to serve our customers well, and to provide a great service, really good customer service, and to be able to continue then after that piece of work and to do other pieces of work for them as well. So we like to look at the whole kind of service offering that a company has, and to break that down into individual products which can be put together into very specific packages, and to actually start off perhaps with an introductory package or offer to give people a flavour of what you do in a kind of low risk kind of way, which once they've done that, they've engaged with you on a financial basis, not just as a freebie. Then after that, they'll maybe move up to a larger package and a more intense way of working to take things forward with you. So it's that gradual moving up the line.
You were going to say?
Sorry, I was just going to say it's that thing of making it easy for customers to buy from you. They've gone through that process of, yes, they think they're interested in buying, and it's amazing number of people when we start working with them, they've got fantastic products, but it's like, and you don't buy it off the page because it's a more complicated sell. Perhaps it is consultancy or, something where multiple people will be involved, but there's no clear process of how you actually buy from them. Well, guess what? That prospective customer's gone, unfortunately. Whereas if, as Eve said, if they can buy a little trial product or a light version or a little piece of consultancy or an audit or something like that, they can buy that easily. They know what it costs, what it contains. They're on the way to actually buying bigger services from you.
Well, I don't know about you, but there are just so many, just while I've been listening to the 2 ladies today, there are so many different things that you kind of think, I could apply that to my own business. And I'm sure you've been thinking exactly the same all the way through this particular programme. But perhaps there are many things that you've been thinking to yourself, oh, if only I was doing that. Or maybe there's that kind of a little bit of a cringe where you realise you should be doing it and you haven't been doing it and you should be doing it. It's been fascinating. We're nearly at the end of the programme. We always ask our guests, today individually we'll ask you to do it, just to give us a couple of minutes, a couple of takeaways down the camera lens. So if we start, I'm afraid it's going to be you first, I'm afraid. Emma, straight down camera number 1. I'll close the lid of my laptop. It's just the key takeaways that we should be thinking about when it comes to getting out there and launching a brand new company, proposition or product. Straight down camera number 1. Say who you are and where you're from.
I'm Emma Tarring from the Marketing Matrix, and the thing I'm most passionate about, the advice I would give any new business setting out, is make sure you know exactly who those people are that you're selling to. We all think we know what our customers look like and who they are, but actually taking that to more depth, thinking about exactly who the customer is that you're selling to. Develop that customer persona, give them a name, look them up on LinkedIn, and actually every time you're writing or you're speaking, speak to that particular customer.
Fantastic. Nothing worse than coming second, I think, when somebody asks you to do that, because invariably the person who's just said something has said everything you were going to say. But I'm sure there is more to come. Straight down camera number 4, if you could, and just say who you are and where you're from, and the key takeaways from your perspective of what we should be remembering today.
I'm Eve Hutchinson and I'm from the Marketing Matrix, and another key booster in starting up a new business is to understand what it is exactly that you do, and answering those key questions: who, where, what, why and when. And one of those, most important of those, is to know your why and to understand why you're running your business, because that's going to help your customers really engage with you, and to be really specific about the services that you offer. And if you can break those down into products and packages which can be set at different pricing levels to suit different kinds of customers, then you're going to make it really easy for your customers to buy from you.
Fantastic. I hope you found today's programme really useful. As I said, if you want to go to their website, the Marketing Matrix website, I'll give you the web address. It is themarketingmatrix.co.uk. Loads of great information on there as well. If you'd like to find out more about the core information that we've been talking about today, you can go to Startup Fast at www.startupfast.co.uk. Once again, some great information there as well if you are in the process of starting up a business. And I think it's fair to say actually that the information we've been talking about today, that you don't have to be a startup to get a return from all of this. Even if you've been in business for a while, these may be topics that you haven't really sort of encountered or worked on.
Yeah, we've worked with clients that have been going for 25 years, and we can still do some work and help with them with their proposition and to clarify who it is they're working for, to make what they already do very well even more refined.
A final word from you, do you think?
Just really, I think the whole point of being in business is to enjoy it. So part of what we always do when we're looking for new clients is find people you really want to work with and you're going to have a great relationship with.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been an absolute pleasure having the pair of you in here. There's been so much great information that you've given out, and the nice thing about it is that, of course, you've been able to watch it absolutely free on Business Connections Live. So thank you very much for coming on the program today. You can download that infographic if you wish. Just simply go to the Business Connections Live website and you can download it there, and you can just mull your way, you can peruse your way through the different stages of how to make your business launch more successful on this edition of Business Connections Live. Well then, let's just do a little bit of the housekeeping before we do finally walk out the door on this Monday afternoon. Let's see who our guests are. Well, coming up, our future guest, Gabriel Buck of GKB Ventures, discussing funding for SMEs. That'll be an interesting programme. Coming up in the next few weeks, Robin Dunwoody, Corporate Affairs Manager at Miller Brands, Julia Ponan, CEO of Creative Nature, Alison Crump, Implementation and Quality Manager, Fleet Safe. You should see her card, it's this big, at AA Drive Tech, in fact. So they're going to be coming on the programme. Don't forget, if you'd like to sponsor the programme, then please be our guest. Do get in contact with us here at Business Connections Live. And if you are working or living in the Cambridge area, then you can watch us on Freeview Channel 8 and also on Virgin 159. That does truly wrap up the program for the day. Can I thank both of you for being our guests on today's edition of Business Connections Live. Thank you very much indeed.
Welcome. Thank you.
It's been lovely to have you with us. And we'll do it all again next week then, shall we? So midday. Is it bank holiday next week? It probably is, so it will be about some stage over there. Till then, have yourself a fantastic week. Successful marketing, successful sales. Till the next time, you take care, look after yourself, and thank you for watching Business Connections Live. We do it Mondays at 12 noon, and we're absolutely live. Bye for now. Bye-bye.